the channel. I'm back to break down this 9-game MLB DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. If you're new to the channel, I'm going to go ahead and break this thing down. Go ahead and give you my favorite pitchers based upon K rate first, so the first half of the video, and then we'll get into hitters on the latter half. And don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my home run call of the day, fan favorite segment on this channel. Nailed it again last night, going with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We're on an absolute roll of those. I don't know how many in a row I think, but I think I've nailed the last 3 or the last 4. Which is always great. If you like home run calls, stick tuned to the end of the video, and then I'll also be covering some prize picks on this channel. If you're not aware, a prize pick is a different format where you go against an over-under set by the format. You can pick 3 to 5 guys based upon how they do. You'll win a certain amount of money. 5 correct picks, you win 10 times your money. 4 correct picks, you can win 5 times your money. 3 correct picks, you can win 2.25 times your money. So it's just a different format over here. Really excited to be partnering with these guys. Go ahead and check them out. Use the promo link below in the description, and use the promo code KJK DFS to receive a 100% match when you deposit up to $100. They'll match it immediately with whatever you deposit. So excited for that. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start breaking down this slate today. Don't forget, if you do enjoy the content, if you could take 1 second to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated. It really does support me, and I'll be here all MLB DFS season long, breaking down these MLB DFS slates to help you guys become better MLB DFS players, help you guys win some money night in and night out. So let's get into the breakdown. As always, I'd like to go ahead and sort my sheet by K rate. It's fantasy sports. We get points for strikeouts, and we have a little bit of a unique scenario on this slate today where the top 2 guys in K rate are in a opener and long reliever role. So Bickford's expected open. Price is going to come in as a long reliever, taking on the Miami Marlins. I don't really think that you can pitch either of these guys based upon this, just because they're going to be limited in their pitch count. We do some conflicting reports upon who's going to start as well, based upon the source you're looking at. These are the 2 guys that I would expect to start right now. And can't really play those guys because obviously if they're in a long reliever role, opener role, they're not going to get the pitch count that we're looking for. So top guy on the slate today is going to be Luis Garcia, taking on the Oakland Athletics. Comes in with a 26.3% K overall, 29.7% K rate against righties, and a 22.3% K rate against lefties. Very, very good across the board, and is definitely more dominant against right-handed hitting when it comes to strikeouts. So we do prefer to target him against very right-handed heavy lineups, if at all possible. And when looking at the team he's taking on today in the Oakland Athletics, they do have a pretty blended lineup up and down. Honestly, a lot of right, left going on. But I do think there's a fair share of strikeouts in their lineup, and then when you're looking at the field that he's pitching in Houston tonight, you can see that it is a pretty good pitcher's park here. Pulling up Houston Astros Stadium, Minute Maid Park. There is a lot of red and yellow going on out there in the outfield. I mean, it's not the best pitching ballpark in the world, but it's definitely not the best hitting ballpark in the world, so definitely no issues with you going to Luis Garcia today. Second on the list, we got Chris Paddock taking on the Washington Nationals. Comes with a 25.5% K overall, 11.7 swinging strike rate. The ground ball, fly ball stuff is pretty good against righties. Not the best in the world, but against lefties, it's even better. He has a 29.2% K rate against those righties and a 22.3% K rate against lefties. So another guy that we do prefer to target against right-handed heavy lineups if we can, as far as K upside is concerned. And we're looking at the Washington Nationals lineup today that they're expected to roll out. There are going to be quite a few righties in there. They only have the 2 lefties in the middle order in Juan Soto and Josh Bell. The rest of the lineup is going to be very right-handed heavy, and the rest of the lineup does provide us with a decent amount of strikeouts. So, especially towards the bottom of the order, I definitely think that I'm going to have some interest in Chris Paddock today for sure. He comes in at 7.6 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at 8.7. Nice little pivot off of Luis Garcia if you want to go there. Third on the list is probably going to be the top guy on the slate that we're discussing today, though. Zach Wheeler has been absolutely dominant all season long. 24.8% K overall, 11.2 swinging strike rate, 23.9% K rate against righties, and a 25.9% K rate against lefties. And the ground ball, fly ball stuff is tremendous against both sides of the plate. He's been striking out a bunch of hitters, and he's taking on a very K-happy team tonight in the Chicago Cubs. This is a team we've been targeting all season long. And unlike the last few nights where the wind's been blowing straight out in Wrigley, it looks like the wind's going to be blowing in. So that's going to help his case a lot when it comes to pitching. He's priced at 11.2 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at 10.3. And I do think that he should be your top priority on this slate. We've seen him strike out 8 and 9 the last 2 times out. And I think he could strike out even more taking on the Chicago Cubs team with the strikeout rate that they have. So Zach Wheeler, as far as I'm concerned, is going to be my #1 pitcher on this slate today. We have Patrick Corbin taking on the San Diego Padres. Honestly, I'm really not interested in Patrick Corbin. He's been pretty bad. The Padres have a 4.89 implied run total. It's a little scary for me. And I don't think that there's really a lot of people on the slate outside of the top guys we talked about that I'm looking to stretch it to too much. You're going to see, I mean, Patrick Corbin's definitely viable. You know, he's got a decent K rate, decent stuff across the board. If you want to go to him, I wouldn't call you crazy. I might find that I like him a little bit better when I dig into pitch data, but at first glance, I think I'd rather go to a guy in Domingo Germán taking on the Seattle Mariners just because of the matchup. A lot less talented lineup than the San Diego Padres. He has a 24.1% K overall, a 24% K rate against righties, and a 24.3% K rate against lefties. And he gets a big ballpark upgrade going to Seattle to pitch there inside of Yankee Stadium. It's going to be a much friendlier environment than it would be if he was in Yankee Stadium still. So I think that Domingo Germán is going to be a great salary relief option today. He's 6'5" on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at 7.7. On FanDuel specifically, I think he's just priced way too cheap. We have seen his pitch count somewhat limited is the only concern. I mean, the guy's been pitching around like 80 to 70 pitches, which kind of sucks when you're targeting, you know, a starting pitcher. You really want him to have a longer leash. So, you know, whether we're really wanting to go to him is kind of tough to determine. But I think he's a viable option today. You do have a few more guys that could be viable. Most notably, the two guys here in Chamonix and Alex Wood. Chamonix is taking on the Houston Astros, though. I just think they don't really have a high strikeout rate at all, so it's kind of tough to be targeting him. He does have some of the best raw talent on the slate today as far as pitching is concerned. But the Houston Astros are just a tough matchup. And for that reason, I think I'd rather go to Alex Wood, taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. They do have a decent amount of strikeouts in their lineup. They are pretty good against left-handed pitching, which is a little scary, but it's in San Francisco, which is a great pitching environment. That should limit some of the power. And Alex Wood's been very good on the season, and the St. Louis Cardinals do have their fair share of strikeouts. So I think that he's probably, you know, the next guy that I'm really looking to. He's priced at 8.5 on DraftKings. As far as his most recent performances, he's had 8 Ks in his last 2 games. So you love to see that with only 2 earned runs and 1 earned run. So he continues to pitch very well, very effectively. I think he can keep it going in this one. I think he's going to be a top priority of mine right next to Zach Wheeler and Chris Paddock. Those 3 guys seem to be the top 3 guys on the slate at first glance. So with that being said, let's go ahead and transition over to bats. As always, I like to go ahead and sort my seat-by-seat era, scale interactive ERA. It's a good way of determining how good a pitcher's been in the past and how good they're expected to be in the future. And we have Johan Oviedo taking on the San Francisco Giants, who has been terrible. Ground ball, fly ball stuff is terrible across the board, specifically against right-handed hitting. Against lefties, he has been pretty effective. But against those righties, we can definitely target him, and I'm definitely going to do that today with some San Francisco Giants bats. They have a 4.9 implied run total. Once again, it's in San Francisco, not the best hitting environment whatsoever. It does look like there's 21-mile-an-hour winds blowing out, though, so if they're able to put the ball in play, that could be a recipe for success. And I feel like we could target the lefties anyways. I mean, Oviedo has been a lot better against them. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's tremendously, you know, big difference, but he still does give a 417 slugging. The Giants just have some lefties that are very impressive from a power aspect. Lavonte Wade, Mike Yastrzemski, Alex Dickerson, Brandon Crawford, and then, of course, you could throw in Wilmer Flores and Buster Posey in the middle order. You know, they're going to be some of my favorite options. With Oviedo split, I'm definitely going to like those right-handed hitters, so definitely could be looking at them today. Robert Stock taking on the Milwaukee Brewers comes in with a less than stellar ground ball fly ball rate, a 43.9% hard contact rate, 467 slugging against righties, and a 442 slugging against lefties. Not really good across the board, and the Milwaukee Brewers could definitely be a viable stack today taking on him. As far as the slate, this game is not featured on the FanDuel slate, so this is going to be a trick because it's a 2-game doubleheader. So this is expected to be, you know, the second game of the doubleheader today. So it's featured over here on DraftKings. Honestly, it's going to be kind of a scratch for me. Like, I'm not too interested in targeting pitchers or bats in a limited game. I mean, I guess Robert Stock is pretty bad. So if you want to target some Milwaukee bats in the second half of the back-to-back, I wouldn't call you crazy. Just keep in mind it's only a 7-inning game. So your upside is going to be somewhat limited as far as innings are concerned. But this guy is pretty bad. So I'll give you the go on the Milwaukee stack if you want to go to that. David Hess taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's terrible. Hard contact stuff's terrible. He gives up a 698 slugging to righties and a 453 slugging to lefties. This is going to be a scary good spot for the Los Angeles Dodgers. The only problem is it's in Miami, which is one of the worst hitting environments in baseball. So some of their power numbers could be deflated here, which is a little unfortunate. You can see right across the sheet. The ball just really doesn't carry all that well here. And for that reason, I'm not getting quite as excited as I would, but overall, I mean, the Dodgers are still in a tremendous spot. Maybe the ballpark will lower their ownership more than it should be. Mookie Betts, Max Muncy, Justin Turner, Cody Bellinger, Will Smith, Chris Taylor, Gavin Lux, AJ Pollock, All going to be in great spots tonight, taking on David Hess. So definitely like those guys. And yeah, you got to like this spot for sure. Matt Harvey taking on the Toronto Blue Jays, another guy that you really want to target. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's not good. Hard contact stuff is not good. He gives up a 556 slugging to righties and a 544 slugging to lefties. Really bad against both sides. He does have a much worse ground ball, fly ball rate against lefties, so we do prefer to target him with lefties if at all possible. But let's be honest, it's the Toronto Blue Jays. They have one of the best lineups in baseball. They're very right-handed heavy, but we just don't care. It's in Camden Yards. Great hitting environment for these these Toronto Blue Jays hitters. You can see green across the board as far as home runs. Love targeting this park when it comes to home runs. And, Harvey's just not good. So I'm going to have a ton of interest in this stack today. Marcus Semien, Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., George Springer, Teoscar Hernandez, Cavan Biggio is the only lefty that really can rake. So definitely like him in the 6th spot. Randall Grichuk and Lourdes Gurriel. So Reese McGuire at the bottom of the catcher you can definitely use to fill out your stacks. He is by far the worst hitter on the team. But sometimes you need that catcher to fill out your stack. Sometimes you need that salary relief, so I wouldn't call you crazy. Antonio Senzatella taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Ground ball, fly ball stuff is good against both sides of the plate. He does give up a lot of slugging. However, I think a lot of that is due to the fact that he pitches in Coors Field. This guy's not that bad of a hitter, and the Arizona Diamondbacks lineup really isn't that good. So typically speaking, I would say go ahead and target this guy in Coors Field. But outside of Coors Field, honestly, it becomes a lot less appealing. And the only thing that you do have going for you is the Colorado Rockies bullpen is terrible. So if this Arizona Diamondbacks team can really work the count and get him out of this game, get to the Colorado Rockies bullpen, we could be dealing with some good stuff. So if you want to stack up the Arizona Diamondbacks for that reason, it's not like Senzatella's the greatest pitcher in the world. He still does give up a lot of slugging, but the ground ball stuff's pretty good. So the home runs might be limited early on. But if they're able to get him out of the game, we could definitely be going to that. Brett Anderson taking on the New York Mets is the same way. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's good. This is only a 7 innings pitch game. I'm not going to spend too much time covering him. Really just target the righties in the New York Mets if you want to go there, but you're kind of limiting your upside with that being a limited game. We have Kikuchi taking on the New York Yankees. The ground ball, fly ball stuff is pretty good. Against righties, he does give up quite a bit of slugging, though. A 477 slugging, a 341 WOBA. We saw this Yankees offense really go off last night. They could be in a decent spot to do it again. Kikuchi has been a lot better this year than we've seen in years past from him. But with that being said, there's so many right-handed bats in this Yankees lineup. Anytime there's a lefty taking the bump that struggles more against right-handed hitting, they are going to be a viable stack. DJ LeMahieu, Aaron Judge, Gary Sanchez, Giancarlo Stanton, Luke Voigt, Gio Urshela, Miguel Andujar, Tim LeCastro, like all those guys. The lefty and Ruth Neto-Dor is going to be the guy that I have the least amount of interest in. But, of course, if they get to Kikuchi, get him out of the game early, Odor could hit a home run off the bullpen, and maybe he's going to be lower owned if you want to go there. Humberto Castellanos taking on the Colorado Rockies. Ground ball, fly ball stuff is a little underwhelming. He does give up a 408 slugging to righties, but even worse against lefties, a 412 slugging. The ground ball, fly ball stuff really takes a dip. Definitely a guy that we like to target with left-handed hitters. And then not to mention the Arizona Diamondbacks ballpark is very favorable to left-handed hitters. You're looking at the ballpark here as far as right field to left-handed batters. A lot of green going on. So I definitely like targeting some left-handed batters at Chase Field. And I definitely like guys that I like Tapia, Charlie Blackmon, Ryan McMahon, Dom Nunez. So definitely no worries about targeting those guys. I like them. Alec Mills taking on the Philadelphia Phillies is a very similar guy in the fact that he's very good against righties, not so good against lefties. 521 slugging given up to lefties. Really do like to target him with lefties. So the Philadelphia Phillies lefties today are going to be great plays. The only problem is that wind is blowing in, not blowing out tonight like we mentioned. But Odubel Herrera, Bryce Harper, Didi Gregorius are going to be great options as far as I'm concerned. Definitely no issues with you targeting them. Patrick Corbin's a guy that's taking on the San Diego Padres tonight. That gives up a lot of slugging to right-handed hitting. We know the San Diego Padres have 2 right-handed hitters that are very good in Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado. Going to love those guys. We have Tommy Pham at the top of the order, Will Myers. Jurickson Profar hits lefties pretty well. And then you have Webster Rivas in the catcher spot if you need to round out your stacks with your catcher. They're going to be a good spot tonight. Definitely like those Padres. Domingo Germán taking on the Seattle Mariners. The guy that I mentioned maybe targeting for pitching. But he does really struggle against left-handed hitting. So the lefties on the Seattle Mariners you can definitely be targeting. In J.P. Crawford, Kyle Seager, Jake Fraley has a bunch of power. Jacob Bowers at the bottom and Shed Long. No issues with you going to them today. And then once we get past them, things honestly aren't very interesting whatsoever as far as who I'm looking to target. I mean, we do want to mention Phil Bickford has some big issues against left-handed hitting. He's going to be only the opener in this one, but I mean, the numbers are very bad. A 667 slugging given up, 453 WOBA, 25% ground ball rate. That's not going to get the job done at all. That's actually just atrociously bad. Unfortunately, the Miami Marlins don't really have a lot of lefties, but they do have Jesus Sanchez in the 6th spot, Jazz Chisholm at the top of the order, and Joe Panic at the bottom of the order. Really, it's going to be Jazz Chisholm, and Edwin Ucita is also listed as a possible guy, so it could not be Phil Bickford here. Some conflicting reports the last 2 days. These are the 2 guys I'd expect to go. If they don't, I apologize. But with that being said, before I let you guys go, I got to give you my home run call of the day. Let's get into it. And my home run call of the day today is going to be Will Smith taking on David Hess in Miami, which we had mentioned is not the best hitting environment, unfortunately, but that's about the only thing that I don't like in this matchup. David Hess has been terrible against right-handed hitting, a .698 slugging, giving up 44% hard contact rate, .419 WOBA, 51.1% fly ball rate, really terrible across the board with only an 18.2% K rate. And when you're looking at Will Smith, a right-handed hitter, that's very reverse splitsy in the sense that he absolutely crushes right-handed pitching. Love targeting him against right-handed pitching, and when specifically breaking down what David Hess throws, he's going to absolutely mash here. David Hess on average throws about a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, and Will Smith crushes that pitch. A .519 ISO with a .508 WOBA. Ridiculous numbers, and as far as the secondary pitch, very reliant on the slider, and Smith crushes that pitch off righties as well. A .274 ISO with a .360 WOBA. Love this spot for Will Smith. Get him in your lineups because he is my home run call of the day. So there you have it, guys. Will Smith, get him in your lineups. And that is all from me as far as the DraftKings FanDuel breakdown. Before I let you guys go, I do want to give you a few prize picks as always promised. Checking out the leaderboard here as far as what we have to pick from as far as fantasy score today. Breaking this down as far as what we've gone over. You can see these are a lot of the early games early on here. Scrolling down, I don't see too many late games posted, so I might not be able to actually give you guys the breakdown as far as my picks today because it does look like they don't really have any options of the games that we went over quite posted yet. So for my Patreons, keep an eye on the Discord. If you have any questions about prize picks, go ahead and leave them down below in the description. I apologize I can't give you guys some picks today. Typically speaking, they'll have some stuff up and I can kind of go break down, giving you some of my favorite plays. But just keep in mind what I've gone over throughout the video, the splits and stuff. We've talked about the guys that I really like, the pitchers we want to target. Keep an eye over there on prize picks. Use KJK DFS as a promo code when you sign up today to receive a 100% match up to $100. And if you made it this far into the video, please go ahead and leave down below that you watched all the way through. I actually really enjoyed that last time I said. For you guys that watched all the way through, really do appreciate you guys. It helps me in a tremendous way. You guys that hit the like button, I do appreciate you. So I want to give you a shout out. And I'm thinking about maybe doing even a merch giveaway. If you make it through the end of the video, go ahead and leave that you did. You'll be entered into a randomized test, or I'll probably do it with one of those apps where I put you in a randomizer, hit the random button, and whoever it falls on at the end of the month will get a free KJK DFS t-shirt. So that's something I think that I want to do. If you like that idea, you watched all the way through the video, go ahead and leave that down below in the comments. Hashtag merch giveaway or something after your comment. And we'll make that happen. We'll start giving away some free KJK DFS merch because I do appreciate you guys that watch all the way through. Sorry for rambling. If you did enjoy the content, if you could please leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated. Wish you guys all the best of luck tonight, and we will see you in the next one.